I literally had 300 lashes upstairs in my spare bedroom. And the buyer's like, oh yeah, we're very interested. Can you fulfill like within 6 months? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. And I only had 300 lashes. Absolutely. How many stores? Oh yeah, definitely. Yes, yes. I kid you not, Adam. I closed that computer and I just screamed. I screamed because I was like, oh my God, we said yes without even realizing what that meant.
Welcome to the Growth Mavericks podcast, where we know that entrepreneurship isn't just about strategy, it's about stamina. It's about disrupting your default and getting comfortable being uncomfortable so you don't burn out before you break through. I'm your host, Adam Callinan. Let's get to work. Our conversation today is with Shaira Frias. She is the CEO and founder of a beauty brand called Luna Magic. In her story, it sounds like she went from 0 to 60, like straight into Walmart. We get into how perception is reality, and that is not actually the case. It took years from having the idea to do it to the point that they did launch into huge big box stores, Walmart, Target, CVS, and the likes. We talk a lot about her Shark Tank experience. She's the only other Shark Tank entrepreneur I've ever spoken with that had the exact same judge panel that we did at Bottle Keeper back when we were on Shark Tank in 2018, which included Alex Rodriguez, baseball player. So we kind of spent some time down in that rabbit hole, frankly, because I think it's fascinating, having never talked to another Shark Tank entrepreneur that had a similar judge experience, at least. We get through her burnout, which happens a lot particularly in the early stages of business before you figure things out, and the things that she did to set guardrails, using meditation and a lot of self-help, and really getting diligent at saying no, being able and capable and comfortable at saying no to protect time and focus and sanity. And she has great stories and anecdotes around that. We share some. I get into some darker times in my early stages of Bottle Keeper, when everything was going incredibly well. We were printing money and I was off the rails. So great shared entrepreneurial stories there. We do get into some tactical things in and around SKU management, which is specific to beauty brands in her case. But honestly, having operated a company that had a SKU base that got out of control at one point, it absolutely speaks to me as well. And that was a consumer product drinkware brand. So I think it's universal across any company that is creating product, but we do spend some time down in there. I really enjoy this conversation because she is just a force to be reckoned with, and you can see it and feel it, and a lot to be learned there. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with Shaira Frias. So before we get into your story and Luna Magic and where you're from and what you do and how you do it and all the hard stuff, which is where generally the good stuff is, we were both on Shark Tank, and you're the only other person I've ever talked to that have been on Shark Tank and also had Alex Rodriguez as a judge. So what was that experience like for you?
Yes, absolutely. So Shark Tank was a fabulous experience, after the anxiety, after being super nervous. Seeing Alex in the room, obviously they brought him in because he's Dominican. We're Dominican from Washington Heights. So I was like, clearly they wanted us to feel comfortable. So he just made us feel comfortable. He asked us about our background. He saw that we had similar stories. So I was like, wow, okay, now I feel a little better.
That's super cool. I did see that. I watched your episode, and I did see that. Must have been a really interesting, experience to have someone like him on. And it's funny, when I was watching it, I literally thought to myself, were we in the same season, like in the same episode? Because you had the exact same judges that we had, like completely exact same judges, except for Barbara hated us and she loved you guys.
Exactly. Literally. I was like, what season were you on? Because I said, oh my God, everything looks super familiar. Alex is there. Lori is there. Barbara's there. Mark is there. And Mr. Wonderful is there. So I was like, did we go on like on the same week or something? And we didn't know. But yeah, I guess it just luck that we had the same judge, and clearly we both got a deal. So that was great.
Yeah. Did you did you see, when did your episode air?
It aired January 21st, 2021. So we were
right after the holidays. Yeah.
Yes. I think, yeah, we were season 12.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. We were season 10 and we got super lucky and aired like right before Christmas, like December 5th or something.
Oh,
It was really lucky.
oh my God. That was a great period for shopping. That's good.
It was. It was a very good shopping period. So where were you at? I mean, I recall the stats from watching the episode recently, but where were you at in the business at that point? And let's just start there. Where were you at the business at that point?
Well, to be honest, we were at shipping from my spare bedroom here at my house. All the products were in my garage. Everything literally happened from my house. But we knew that we had a good business. We just needed a little bit of a push. We did not make $1 million. I think I saw your episode. You made like $1 million in 7 days.
Well, yeah, it's literally because it was Christmas. Yeah, it was an unfair time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. No, we literally, I think we made by then like $86,000. And that was $86,000 because we participated in it's called BoxyCharm. It's a subscription box, right? So we made money out of that deal, but we had literally, I think like less than $20,000 in actual sales. Like we had no sales.
Okay. So you were super early on. We were different by the time we ended up on Shark Tank. I mean, as you saw in that episode, like our trailing 12 months was over $10 million. And it took years for us to get on. When it started, they had a casting producer reach out to us, saw our ads on Facebook or something. And we were $1 million company. And then the next time we were a $6 million company. And then the next time we were a 10, it just took years to get it through the cycle. So what happened after for you?
Well, okay. So let me give you a little backstory.
So that's a great idea.
Yeah. So stories like yours. So I've been watching Shark Tank like since college. Stories like yours, I thought that's what we needed in order to be on the show. Like, oh my God, I've sold 500,000, $1 million, 200. So when the idea came up that, oh, maybe we should apply to Shark Tank, I was like, oh my God, like Mr. Wonderful is going to kill us. His favorite question is, how much money have you made? And I'm like, I literally had nightmares just thinking about saying less than $20,000. So when we finally applied, we're like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? No. And it's okay. So we're like, okay, let's go and apply. But literally, we didn't think it would happen. It was just one of those days that it was COVID times. We had nothing to do, literally in my house, pool days every day, trying to make a business. And what's the worst that can happen? So when we submitted the application, we heard from a producer within like 3 days. And we were like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, we thought it was like harder. I don't know what we thought. Maybe it was the COVID times, but we thought it was like going to be like impossible because we've heard all these stories. So, the producers call, they're like, hey, we submit a video, we make the video. And then it just kept going one thing after another, and it never stopped. And we were like, oh my God, this is just keeps going. So while we were like, obviously interviewing with the producers, prepping for the show, we had this Walmart PO, okay, playing at the same time. So that's the one thing that we had like 100% by the time the show aired. We're like, oh my God, we're going to go to Shark Tank. Can you please give us at least a letter of intent? We told the buyer, we need a letter of intent just to show them like, hey, you guys want to place an order next year. So we walked in there with our letter of intent and less than $20,000 in sale and like $86,000 of money that we made in the back end with the subscription box. And I think that's what the sharks like. The sharks like Walmart. And I don't know if you recall in my episode, but I should literally repost that to my socials again. Mr. Wonderful said, "You girls," so he called us girls, "You girls just reeled in a huge whale, and you are in a little boat, and you are just trying to reel this whale in, and you guys are basically are going to drown." That's what he said about Walmart. And it's good that we were naive in the beginning, because we had no idea what he meant regarding retail, but he was partially right.
I mean, he's like, in the show, he is the classic one-liner guy. That's, he's just full of the one-liners. And I do recall that. And the bringing up Walmart, there's actually, there's quite a bit to be learned from that. Bringing up Walmart completely changed the trajectory of that, at least what they show. I know we know that you tape for like 45 or 60 minutes and they cut that into 7. So a lot happens, but at least the way that the episode was edited, it totally changed the trajectory of that conversation.
100%. At first, as you said, we were in there for a solid hour. It was the most nerve-wracking hour in the world, because what people don't understand is that they are shouting on top of each other, talking on top of each other. 3 sharks are asking you questions. You don't know who to respond to. You don't know who to give your attention to. It's mayhem in the background. But obviously, publicly, people don't see that. So we were just doomed from the beginning. Mark was hard. I'm not going to lie. I was afraid of Mr. Wonderful. At the end of the day, Mark was the hardest shark for us, because he's like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But at the end, literally, I don't know what happened. I guess we blanked out. We brought up Walmart, literally after 15 minutes. Oh, by the way, we have a PO. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, okay, I'm listening now. So yeah, it took us a while to say Walmart.
Yeah. I mean, again, that is a thing that only you and I and anyone else that's ever been on Shark Tank can understand. And I've said that a lot. Like, we had the same experience. It was 55 minutes of absolute chaos, of just getting asked the same question 27 different ways. It's like the intent is just to get you with that aha moment, which they do like 40 times. And yeah, it's just chaotic, but I mean, exceptional experience. Like, what a cool thing to have been able to do.
I think that literally, I said, once you survive Shark Tank, even if you get a deal or don't get a deal, I think you're set for life in terms of presenting. Because I said, once you graduate from the Shark Tank show, I think you're everything else is easy.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Doing something hard. Yeah. Coming out on the other end of that. It does. That's, we're going to get into that stuff later, but yeah, I totally agree. But I'm being a bad podcast host, and we're knee deep into Shark Tank because frankly, I was just excited to talk to you about it. I know what you do, but the audience may not know what you do. So let's talk about what you do and how you got that started.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Shaira Frias, and I'm the CEO of Luna Magic. And basically, my company, we sell high quality cosmetics at great prices. We are in retail stores nationwide. We are in Walmart, that gave us the first yes. We are in Target, that gave us the second yes. And then we are in CVS, that gave us the third yes. And then other retailers smaller than those 3. So what made us different is that we are Afro-Latina. So that is why the Walmart buyer was interested in us, because obviously we are the customer. We started with lashes at Walmart, and the buyer was like, this is a hot commodity. Our Latina customer is very into lashes. It has a very fast, turn rate. This is great. So we started with lashes, then we obviously added eyeshadow, lipstick, blush, et cetera, et cetera. So I was able to grow the SKU count basically from 5 products. Now we're over 40.
Wow.
And we're happy. We don't want 300 SKUs.
No.
Just
Absolutely.
FYI.
Yeah.
FYI.
We're gonna put a pin in that and talk about that, because there's so much to be learned in that, and particularly with super early stage companies and founders, that like SKUs get out of control really fast if you let them. So let's talk about that, because I bet you have some really interesting learnings from your type of business. And Bottle Keeper, our SKU count would get out of control at like 15 and we'd be freaking out. And that's a whole different thing. How did you come up with the idea? Was it the typical like solving your own problem?
Yeah. So basically, my background, I am a journalist, right? That's what I graduated to do in New York City. And after, graduation, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I was not happy in my journalism career. I was not happy at all. I was miserable. So then I'm like, what is something that I love? And then I realized, okay, I love beauty. I love makeup. So I was like, I researched makeup schools in New York City. I found one and I attended it. But my intent was always to have a makeup store, right? So I graduated from that makeup school, and then I immediately went to Dominican Republic because I thought I was going to open a makeup store in Dominican Republic. But because of logistics reasons, obviously I would have to live in the country. I said, oh no, I don't, it's too much. So then we started in an era where Instagram makeup was a huge boom. Makeup on Instagram, I think it was like the 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018 era, where other brands like Anastasia Beverly Hills, Huda Beauty, those brands like exploded on social media. So we thought it would be cute. We're like, we have nothing to lose. Let's build a website. With my journalism degree, I literally slaved away to find factories, to find suppliers everywhere internationally in order to get the product to America. So I slaved away for, I'm going to say, 8 months, where I found 3 factories to source from, and then I imported the products here to California. Again, sometimes being naive, it's great when you're starting a business, because, it's either be naive and be super optimistic, or, be super hard on yourself. So we thought that once we built a website, once you build the social media, you literally go live and sales just come out of nowhere. That's what we thought. So we're like, oh yeah, coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. And we turn it on and crickets. Nothing happened. And we're like, oh my God, like we don't know what to do. So we're like, oh my God, like what do we do? So obviously we started having conversations with people in the industry, and we always knew a friend of a friend of a friend. And we had this one friend that said, hey, I know someone at Walmart. Do you want his email? And we're like, yes. And that was when Walmart bought Jet.com. And once they bought Jet.com, which they were based in New Jersey, it was a bunch of like young people, right? Young people, open-minded people. So obviously, once they hired them, like they were sourcing smaller brands. They were sourcing Instagram brands, social brands, brands that brought something different to Walmart. So everything was literally perfect timing. Like if it wasn't because Walmart bought Jet.com and brought in all those young kids, like we were similar in age, I don't think Luna Magic would, they would be open to even having, an ear for us at that time.
Man, so timing, when you look back, at least when I look back, and I think this is probably relatively consistent amongst entrepreneurs, when you look back, people always talk about luck, and there's like, you got to be lucky to do this. You got to be lucky to do that. And I generally completely disagree with that, with the one caveat, and that is timing. And usually when you look back, like I can look back at our Bottle Keeper experience and even look at the Pentane experience now, look back and at the things that were happening, go like, ooh, yeah, that was lucky, but it's always timing related. Mm-hmm. So that's a really, really good and powerful example of, how you had to do the work. you had to do the struggle, you had to do the things, and the business had to still be going to let that timing luck happen.
Absolutely. So what people people were wondering, like, how did Luna Magic run so fast? It was like we were on Shark Tank, then we went to the Target Accelerator program. So we went from Walmart to Target to CVS, all within like 3 years. It was so fast, right? And people are like, how did it happen? Besides money, obviously, we were ready. We were ready because we did everything in advance, right? In 2018, it just so happened that by 2020, unfortunately, COVID hit. And all of a sudden, all these retailers have ears, for smaller brands. So because we were already ready and just waiting for the opportunity, by the time we interviewed with Walmart, which this is a funny story, they wanted an interview with us, a Zoom meeting. And we thought, we've never had a Zoom meeting with any retailer. So we thought it was like a Zoom meeting like this, like a question, like, hey, what's your name? What's your brand? Whatever. We didn't know that it was a meeting to talk about our products and to say, yes, you can come to Walmart. We had no idea. So I'm sitting I literally had 300 lashes upstairs in my spare bedroom. And the buyer's like, oh yeah, we're very interested. Can you fulfill like within 6 months? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. And I only had 300 lashes. Absolutely. How many stores? Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yes, yes. I kid you not, Adam. I closed that computer and I just screamed. I screamed because I was like, oh my God, we said yes without even realizing what that meant.
Yeah.
And I think that has been business for me. I say yes in the beginning, no matter what, and then I just figure it out. Yeah. I literally just figure it out. And I think that's the journalist in me of like, I'm not a journalist anymore, but I can use my journalism skills to figure things out.
Yeah, that is magic, because there are so many times, and as an entrepreneur, and the more you do this, the better you get at it. But there are so many times in the early stages like that where it is so much easier, to try to play conservative. And in reality, like, you're only going to get that chance once. If you say, we're not sure, like, done, game over, that's gone. So do it and figure it out. That's 100%,
100%. And every opportunity that has ever come to Luna Magic, we say yes. And then close the computer, scream. And I'm like, okay, soldiers, gather together. How are we going to figure this out? We need to solve it. And 99% of the time it happens. That's what people need to understand. Like, half of it is, yes, you have to be prepared. Half of it, yes, you have to have a little bit of luck. But if your mindset has to be ready to be positive. You have to be a positive person as an entrepreneur. Like, you cannot be a pessimist and be an entrepreneur. Like, your business is going to fail.
Yeah. You need absolute conviction that you will figure it out.
100%.
Which I share. I mean, that's the way my brain works as well. And granted, that comes through lots of reps of figuring it out and proving that, but that is the difference between, in a lot of cases, success and failure. So when
can I ask you questions? I wonder, or is it just one way?
No, of course.
Okay. So I always wonder, clearly I started the business because I love makeup, but did you start the business because you love bottles or because you just saw?
Not at all. Not even remotely. I got basically, I say this with all the love in the world, I basically got strong-armed into joining the business with my cousin who came up with the idea for the product. And I like solving problems. I like doing a lot of what you're talking about. I like being confronted with something that is overwhelming and going, watch this. Like, that's just the way that I'm wired. That's the way that I approach things. And when we started Bottle Keeper, my cousin Matt had come up with the idea. I had just sold out of a medical company, and he had this thing. And I basically said, I don't believe people will pay real money for it. I mean, that was like an honest discussion. And he said, well, let's prove it. And I said, okay, great. And I'm a science nerd. So we set up some processes to prove that we could get strangers to swipe credit cards to buy this thing that hadn't been made yet for a real price point. And they totally bought it. And they did it. Like we sold 1,000 units in a crowdfunding campaign at a real price to people all over the world. And it was like, and then we did that. We're like, okay, well, now we got to go make them. I guess we have to figure out how to make the product and then figure out how to do a business and, do this business at least. And it obviously kind of went from there, but
yeah. I think the figuring it out part, to me, looking back, is like the most exciting part.
Yeah.
I think as an entrepreneur, like not knowing in the beginning, I'm not saying now, right now, I'm like 7 years in, I'm not saying now, but in the beginning, as you're going through it, those are the fun parts. Those are like, oh my God, what's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know what's going to happen next week. I don't know, like all of that. To me, I found it fun.
I totally agree with you. And that was actually, as Bottle Keeper grew and developed over the years, that's the part that I missed, because as the CEO of that business, and we had a big patent portfolio that we were constantly fighting with people about. We had, in the later stages of the company, it was an 8-figure business. I felt like I was spending most of my time with attorneys and doing stuff that sucked. Like I didn't like doing it. I liked creating. I liked building and creating. And Matt was the same. My cousin Matt was the same. And so that's why we eventually started listening to the knocks on the door to buy the company and sold it to a private equity group in 2021. But I mean, now back in Pentane, like doing the building again. Yeah, 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we started in 2013, sold it in 21.
Okay. Yeah, building is the fun part, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, I've been on my own since 2023. And so obviously I'm in every department. In the beginning, I was the product development, the sourcing, the transportation, anything that had to do with operations, that was me. And, and obviously be in the face and going to interviews and stuff like that. But when I started doing this, when I took on the company on my own in 2023, all of a sudden I'm in finance meeting. I'm in every meeting, HR. I'm my employees' therapist. I am like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And I realized, I'm like, oh my God, half of the business is humans. And like half of the business is like replying to emails. Like I had no idea that having a business, it's like human therapist situations. So employees get along basically. So everything is smooth. It's like you're constantly in a dancing mode, trying to like fix everything so everything works together.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the changes and the evolution that happen in a business as it grows. And on the one hand, it's like you should be, not you specifically, but like we at that stage should be kind of thankful. Like you're fortunate to be in that position because that means it's working. Like you have a team. It's generating a lot of revenue. That's a good thing. But on the other hand, it's like, that was what Bottle Keeper was the same. Like we were profitable. It was big enough. It was great. I just didn't like doing it anymore. It's like, I want to go back and build something new and fresh and start over. A business is like an engine. It needs fuel to run. For consumer brands and pretty much every company on the planet, that fuel is profit. Without it, growth stalls and everything feels harder than it should be. Pentane helps you fine-tune your business and advertising so you're running at peak performance, showing you exactly what's driving your margins, your cash flow, and pricing power. No more wasted time in spreadsheets or guessing what's working, waiting until you get your P&L next month to see if it's good or bad. Just the clarity and direction you need to grow faster, smarter, and with less stress. So if you're running a consumer brand, go to pentane.com and fuel your growth today.
Well, Adam, I still love what I'm doing.
That's a good thing.
I love that I'm everywhere. But what I've learned recently is that I had to delegate the stuff that I don't have time for. Finance, as much as I try to understand everything, I needed to hire an accountant. I need to hire a CFO. I need to hire all these people to walk me through, right? All of these numbers. It's okay if I know my margins. It's okay if I know how much my product costs. That's okay. I don't have to know everything. I don't have to know everything in marketing. I don't have to know everything in operations. I don't have to know everything, because as your company grows, you have to delegate. You have to get experts in order to go to the next level. And I think that was the bottleneck for me in like 2022. In 2022, I realized, I was like, oh my God, I think we researched enough. I think we Googled enough. We've done it. We pushed this to the max, right? We need someone to go to the next level. And I think every entrepreneur hits that. We're like, okay, I feel like I need someone on top of me that can help me get there. And it's hard because sometimes, because of ego, people don't want that.
Yeah. It's a really important realization. And it's great that you're obviously you're a self actualized person. You can look internally and see those things, because to your point, a lot of people don't. I mean, I saw that at Bottle Keeper in 2016. I had put guardrails in place that we have 0 employees. And I was massively bottlenecking the company by having 0 employees and trying to run every single position in the company, with the exception of like some of our finance and accounting. Manufacturing, my cousin was doing inventory stuff. But and I changed that as a result of that realization, and it totally made things so much easier,
100
bringing in experts in those individual things.
100%. Like, I was just talking to a person who I consider a mentor, and he sold his company like for hundreds of millions of dollars. And so he's just relaxing and giving advice now. And I'm like, I have people in my Rolodex, like, who I need a mentor. I need someone I can just talk to, because I've hit a wall in terms of, okay, we're here. How do we get there? And he is the most honest, blunt person ever. And I love that, because when I talk to people who have done it, or who are in places that I want to be one day, I don't necessarily want to hear all the nice stories or all the pretty stories. I want to hear all your problems. How did you get, over that issue? How did you handle that issue, that thing, So as soon as I picked up the phone and I'm like, hey, I need your help, he was like, what's going on? And within 30 minutes, literally, he solved my issue, which I've been holding on to for a solid 6 months, because I couldn't understand. I was like, the business is going well. We're having so many great opportunities. So many partnerships are coming up for 2026. Why am I feeling this way? Something is off. So I told him what it was. And then he explained to me that it was about my time. I was not prioritizing my time. I kept giving my time. Since yesterday, I'm better. He said, what are you doing with your time? And I was like, well, I have my meetings, I have this, I have that. He said, no, what are you doing? Walk me through your day. What are you doing with your time? And I told him what I was doing with my time. He said, you're a corporate person. You're not a corporate person. You're the head of the company. You don't have to be in all these meetings. You don't have to be everywhere. Okay. Your time is the most valuable thing in the company. The mornings, he told me, and I'm going to give this advice to everyone. He told me the morning is for you. The morning is when employees are most productive. Do not have meetings with your employees in the morning. Let them work. Have your meetings with your employees in the afternoon, later in the day. Let them work first, and then you have your meetings. He said, your mornings are for you to learn of how to grow the company, how to get more accounts, how to take the business to the next level, because that is when your brain is the sharpest. Late in the afternoon, that's when you take your meetings. That's when you talk to people. That's when you do everything that it's not a priority. And I was like, wow, I never thought about it, because literally I take meetings in the morning. I take meetings in the afternoon. I take meetings at night. I take meetings on weekends. Like, I had no guardrails. I'm like, whenever anyone sends me anything, I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to do that, because that's when you burn out. Have you experienced that before?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, holy cow. There was a time, this is in 2017, New Year's 2017. So the whole deal with Bottle Keeper is I wanted to build it in a way that had no employees so my wife and I could travel the world, because we hadn't traveled a lot. That was the deal. And we did that, and it worked really, really well. We were gone 4 or 5, 6 months of the year for a number of years. And in over New Year's 2016 to 17, I think we were in Austria with friends. At Bottle Keeper, we did like half our revenue in the last month of the year. It was really cyclical. And we had just done $8 million in the year. So we did $4 million in the month of December. No team, like we have no employees. I mean, it netted, our net profit on 8 million was probably $1.5 million. So like,
Wow.
we crushed. I was sitting in a coffee shop, depressed out of my mind at New Year's in a foreign country with my wife, whom I love deeply, and our 2 best friends. And I was a wreck the entire trip. It was like my version of rock bottom because of that. And I had to make some massive changes in my life to not let that happen again.
Absolutely. I think the biggest learning so far is that, burnout culture is not cool. I'm sorry, America. I feel like here, I love to go to Europe because they understand working.
They do. They have a different viewpoint on work than we do.
I love Europe. They understand working. I love Dominican Republic because Dominican Republic, they understand working too. We're super relaxed. But in America, there's a guilt that comes with not answering that email. There's a guilt that comes that even though I'm working, from home, I'm like, oh my God, I have to be on the computer, or I have to be in my house, even though I'm working on my computer. It wasn't until last year that I realized you work on your computer can be anywhere in the world. Like, why do you feel that if you're not home on your computer, you feel guilty? It's like, oh, I'm not working because I'm not home. I'm not close to my warehouse. So my warehouse is like 20 minutes from my house. I'm not available. If my employees text me at 9 p.m. And I don't text back within 20 minutes, I feel bad. Like, I kept feeling bad because I was not doing everything instantly. And then I'm like, I don't think that's the solution. I don't think that's how I'm supposed to run this business. What's the point of the leader being exhausted? By the time 10 a.m. came and I had to be like, hi, everyone. Happy Monday. What's going on with Luna Magic? I was exhausted because the night before I'm talking to China until 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I need to change something. So last year I was like, okay, I need to find ways to find time for me and find time that I tell my employees, okay, guys, do not text me after 6 p.m. Unless it's an emergency, do not text me after 6 p.m. I have to tell them, for example, my product development girl, she's the best. I said, I can't be on WhatsApp all day. Like, I can't be on WhatsApp. I can't answer these. I can't. It's just too much. I'm dealing with a lot. So since I've had that conversation with everyone understood. And I think everyone is happy. Like, they've told me 300 times. They're like, oh my God, Saida, like, we're so happy. There's a synergy with everyone. Everyone is doing their job. We love it. And I'm like, you see, everyone loves guardrails. Everyone loves, like, okay, time for yourself, time for the job. Now go home.
Yeah, there's an incredible amount of learning in that. And I couldn't agree with you more that the hustle culture that we have is not healthy. And unfortunately you have like the old guard that still prop it up and shout about it on LinkedIn and all the places. And I really don't think it's particularly helpful. But let's tie a bow on, I said that we were going to come back to this, and I know some people are going to be interested in it. Let's talk about SKU counts. How do you keep control of SKU counts in a beauty brand?
We all know. I laugh because I'm just thinking about the past.
Yeah.
Beauty brands, there's a lot of pressure on beauty brands to innovate. And every time we have a meeting with a retailer, what's new? And it wasn't until, I'm going to say 2 years ago, that I said, you know what? We can actually show up to line review, which is annually, and say, we don't have anything new. We don't have anything new. And then we realized, oh, the buyers were okay. Like that we didn't have anything new, because we grew our SKU count from 5 to like 40 within like 24 months. It was nuts. It was too fast, too quick. And it was all because we have this retail space and we have to fill it. And that's what happens with beauty. They're like, okay, here's your 1 foot pog or your 2 foot pog. You fill it with product. So we had that pressure of filling it, right? Because we have the space. But it's hard, right? Because as fast, and it was only me on the team, by the way, as product development. So it was only me doing all the logistics, all the product sourcing, all the picking up the colors and the SKUs and the textures. Everything was me. I was going to trade shows in Italy. I was going to trade shows in Vegas. I was all over the place, you know? So then I realized, I said, you know what? Let innovation be for the bigger brands that can afford it, right? Every 2 months. We are a small startup, okay? And yes, we have innovation, but we can do innovation annually. We can do it every 6 months. We don't have to have the pressure of bringing something new every month. And I think once I realized that, my warehouse is so much better because now we're selling out because I'm buying with purpose. Before I was buying, I'm sorry that I'm laughing. I'm laughing because it was a hard situation. But before, I feel like I was buying because I was like scared. I don't know. It was like, oh my God, buy. Oh, we need this and we need that. And that brand came up with that. So let's do that. It was like scared buying. So all of a sudden, I go from a small warehouse to like a bigger warehouse within 2 years. And then I was like, I don't think this is normal. You know what I mean? A brand our size. So once I realized, I said, I think 40 is good. Let's eliminate what's not selling, right? So then I looked at it with my warehouse manager and I'm like, what's not selling? What's not moving? Okay, let's kill these SKUs. And then we replace. Kill SKUs, replace. But I told them, this company will never be a 300 SKU company. I am not interested in 300 SKUs. I am okay. I want something that we know we have our hero products, our best sellers that are selling like crazy, and that is okay. Because we've seen what 300 SKUs does to a company. Like, they're not profitable. There's a lot of loss in 300 SKUs, a lot of overhead, employees, like it's too much.
Yeah, a lot in there, obviously, that's applicable to the beauty space, but is also applicable to literally any company creating a physical product, because it is really, really easy to end up with a bunch of SKUs that, unless you're paying really close attention, aren't selling, and the margins get wonky and wacky, and now you're spread too thin with inventory and capital in that inventory spread out all over the place. So that's great insight from your standpoint, having what it sounds like figured it out, particularly the we don't actually have to make new things. That's probably quite a revelation for a typical beauty brand.
Yes, yes. And you know what's funny? It's like, so because we launch in different retailers at different times. There are instances that certain retailers get something first. And I think it's interesting and funny that they all look at each other, right? They're all like, oh my God, what are you doing over there? What are you doing over there? So they come to us and they're like, hey, this retailer has that. Why don't we have that? And I'm like, well, because I need marketing support. What are you going to give me in order for me to bring that to you? And that is the biggest thing. One of the biggest things I learned also was actually asking the retailers to help you. Like before with our buyers, we used to be so scared. When I tell you like scared, we were just go to the meeting, listen. Oh, do you have any feedback? No, we love you guys. Everything is great. We never used to ask for anything. And then with time, I'm going to say it took me 2 years to figure out that you can ask them for help. You can ask them for marketing placement. You can ask them to help you with the pogs, the displays. You can ask them for help. You can ask them for different payment terms. Like you can ask them for anything. The worst they can say is no.
At the end of the day, that is always an important point and thing to reflect on, is like, what is the worst that can happen? Because most of the time it's not nearly as bad as our brains go to. Like, are you going to die? No, probably not. Like if the worst case is actually a no, that's a pretty great case.
100%, because when they're fighting for their margins, like 1 penny, 2 pennies, 3 pennies, I'm like, if you guys have the audacity to come back to me fighting over 1, 2, 3 pennies, I'm going to ask for more. So I think I like that better.
Yeah, that's great. Aside from what it sounds like some really important guardrails that you have put in place to help take back control of time and parts of your life, what are things that you do, practices that you have, whether it's whatever it is, exercise, meditation, yoga, like whatever it is, to like stay in the game, to stay grounded, to keep your sort of mind, body, self in it through all these fun ups and downs of entrepreneurship?
I think the best thing that happened to me was that after I decided not to do anything with journalism, I moved to Boulder. Colorado with the love of my life, my ex-husband now, we're still best friends. And we all know that, well, for you guys that don't know, Boulder is a lifestyle, relaxing town. Like everyone is biking, everyone is hiking, everyone is outside in the sun. Like it's about wellness, meditation, everything. So when I moved from New York to Boulder, it was a shock. It was like, oh my God, what is going on? I felt out of place. But I felt out of place because I was so used to the hustle and the bustle of New York and the chaos and the noise and everything that all of a sudden I go from something noisy to quiet. And I'm like, what is going on? But I had to quickly adapt because I realized, I was like, oh, this is actually good for my brain. Silence is good. Meditation is good. Yoga is good. Pilates is good. Taking care of yourself is good. Reading self-help books is good. That's when I discovered self-help books. Joe Dispenza and others. That's all I have in my library. Like everything, I'm going to say 99% of my books are self-help. How to improve my life. And that happened because I lived in Boulder, Colorado. So when I decided that clearly Boulder, I love them, but we really wear a lot of makeup. I decided to move to California because that's where the makeup industry and the social media and everything was happening. So we moved to California. And then I'm like, okay, this is where I'm going to set the business. But I moved from quietness, from meditating, Pilates, tennis, massage every week. I moved from stillness to I'm back in the city. And that switch, I had to like, okay, I remember this feeling, but it's like I'm adjusting again. So by the time the business chaos came, I went back to what I learned in Boulder. I went back to my self-help books. I went back to listening to meditation and practicing meditation and yoga and Pilates and my massages. I had to, because work was so chaotic. The business was so like fast that I was like, oh my God, I'm going like too much. It was just too much. So I went back to what I was doing in Boulder. And I was like, clearly I was happier over there because I was taking time for me mentally, spiritually. Like it was about me and not about the world.
What a journey. New York to Boulder. That's different.
That's what love does.
Yeah.
That's what love does.
That's incredible. And then into LA. Well, it's great that you have that experience base to fall back on. Last question. Number one self-help book on your shelf. The thing you go to when you're like, I need a fix.
The Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. You are the placebo. That's what it's called. You are the placebo. Oh gosh. It's basically summary. Your reality, you create your reality. You create your environment. You just create what you see. We all know, obviously, things are going on in the world, but you decide every time you wake up, like, am I going to smile today? Am I going to have a great day? Like, am I going to let the news affect me? Et cetera, et cetera. You have the power to create your life as much as you can. We know things happen, circumstances, etc. But I think that's the book that I always reread, because it's like, okay, let me go back to self. Let me go back to self. I'm over here. I'm too far over there. Let me go back to self.
I haven't read that, but it sounds incredible. I will put it at the top of my list. This has been really, really fun, Shaira. Where do you want people to find you, to find Luna Magic, etc.?
Well, my website is www.lunamagic.com, Instagram socials at Luna Magic Beauty, or my LinkedIn, Shaira Frias.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time and your honesty and your excitement. This has been super, super fun. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam. Shark Tank alum.
A huge thanks to our guests today. Don't forget, this is powered by Pentane Financial and Advertising Command Center for Consumer Brands. Stop what you're doing, put your phone down, walk away from the computer screen, go outside, get some air, do something hard, push your limits, get uncomfortable, become more durable and more resilient, create the stamina required to get through those entrepreneurial barriers, stay in the game for as long as you can, and we will see you next time.